Alright, in problem number 22, which is where we're going to start this lesson, we're going to multiply negative 2 by 180 over pi to change this into degrees. So when I do this, I'm going to wind up with negative 114.6 degrees. In problem number 23, we're doing the 280 degrees, and we're changing it back to radians. So I multiply it by pi over 180. Normally I don't put the pi in for these types of questions because I'm going to leave this as 14 pi over 9. So really in the calculator all I did was 280 divided by 180. In problem number 24, we're trying to figure out how far it is around here. I should probably make this a different color. And since we have 80, we're not using the whole circle, so we put that out of 360 degrees times pi times 2 times pi times r, because 2 pi r is the circumference of a circle. And so when we have 80 over 360 times 2 times pi times 5, we get the answer of 6.98 inches. Problem number 25 has a circle again. This time they give us the radius of 6, and this is 225 degrees, and we're trying to do the area, which means instead of using 2 pi r, I'm going to use pi r squared. So 225 over 360 times pi times 6 squared. And that gives me 70.7, and this one is in meters, so area is in squared units, so meters squared. Alright, in problem number 26, I got two problems. One, I'm going to try to find the sine of 3 pi over 4. Well, first, I know that 3 pi over 4 is in between pi over 2 and pi. So there's my picture, and I know that this is pi over 4 because reference angles, when we're dealing with our 30, 60, 90 triangles, always have the same denominator. So this is a 45 degree triangle, and that's going to be x square roots of 2. So the opposite is x, the adjacent is, the hypotenuse is x square roots of 2. So this gives me an answer of 1 over the square root of 2. However, when we rationalize it, we multiply the top and bottom by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2, which gives me the square root of 2 over 2. When I do the tan of 2 pi over 3, we're still in that same second quadrant, except for if this is 2 pi over 3, this is pi over 3, which is the same as 60 degrees. So this is going to be x and 2x and x square roots of 3, except for this x is negative. So when I find the tangent, I'm going to have x square roots of 3 divided by negative x. Well, the x's cancel, and we wind up with negative square root of 3. Alright, we're going to continue on this video because we got some time to add. So I'm going to start with chapter 6. So the amplitude for this problem is equal to 2, because we always take the absolute value of what comes first. We then take the period, which is 2 pi, divided by k, which in this case k is equal to 3, and so the period is 2 pi over 3. Finally, to get the phase shift, I'm going to take whatever's inside parentheses and set it equal to 0. So I add pi to the other side, divide by 3, And because this is positive, if it asks for direction, positive means right. And so I got pi over 3 as the phase shift. Alright, for this next problem, it says we need an amplitude of 4, so I'm going to put plus or minus 4 in there. On the test, it may just be plus 4 or it may just be minus 4 because they both work. And then we use cosine because it says to use cosine. Now we're going to still use the fact that 2 pi over k is equal to the period, but this time they gave me a period of 3 pi. So multiply both sides by k, and you can get 2 pi equals 3 pi k, and then divide both sides by 3 pi. The pi's cancel, and so k is equal to 2/3 x or theta, whichever one they decide to use. For problem number 29, we're going to start out with the amplitude again. So we got plus or minus 2. This time we got a sign. And then because this one has a vertical shift, that just goes at the end. So -1 means we put -1 at the end. This time the period is 2 pi, which really means k is equal to 1. If you want me to show the work out, 2 pi divided by k equals 2 pi. So when I multiply k on both sides, we get 2 pi equals 2 pi k. And then when I divide by 2 pi divided by 2 pi is 1. So I got theta. And when solving this out, I'm going to have theta plus c equals 0 after I plug in the pi. So basically I have pi plus c equals 0. C equals -pi, and so my answer is theta minus pi. Inside the parenthesis, and that's my equation for problem number 29. Alright, this one is a tangent problem, so there's no amplitude, so I'm just going to start with tangent. Give me a vertical shift of -7, so that still comes at the end. And the big difference between tangent and sine or cosine is that we're going to do pi over k equals the period, which in this case is pi over 4. So I would cross multiply and then divide by pi, and 4 equals k. So I'm going to start with 4 theta or 4x. I'm going to plug in the phase shift in order to figure out what c is. So 4 times pi over 12 plus c equals 0. That turns out to be pi over 3 plus c equals 0. C equals -pi over 3. And so there's my answer. I'm going to do the next 10 on the next video, so that'll give you 31 through 40.